What's up? I'm Jared Harris, and this is episode 49, the season 2 finale of Beats by Jer. Today, I'm excited to be joined by singer and guitarist Luke Bentham of Hamilton based punk rock outfit, The Dirty Nil, to discuss the making of their highly anticipated sixth album, The Lash, dropping on July 25th via Dine Alone Records. Since 2016, the Dirty Nil have been touring across North America in support of key albums like 2018's Master Volume and 2020's Fuck Art. The Lash sees the band ditch the glitz and glam aspects of their sound for a grittier tone, making this among their most raw and immediate bodies of work. Here is my conversation with Luke Bentham. Luke Bentham, thank you for joining me today for the Spill magazine and for Beats by Jer.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Jared.
Yeah, anytime, dude. And congrats on the upcoming release of The Lash.
Thank you. Very excited to get it out there in the world.
It's a fantastic record, I bet you are.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the writing and recording behind the album. How is The Lash different from your previous 5 records?
Well, I mean, first off, we went with we've done the previous 4 records in some way, shape, or form. We've done them with an incredible engineer, producer, mixer named John Goodmanson out in Seattle, and we've he's come here and made these records with us. And this one we just made down the street with our friend Vince Soliveri at a local studio, and a much kind of simpler studio than we typically record in. So we did it with a friend who's kind of the same age as us, just a few years younger than us, and we just did it really, really quickly. So, I mean, I would say that we kind of we placed a bit more of a bet on ourselves. I would say that we could get in and do this quickly and have a great time. And I think the last time we recorded, we booked too much time. We were in there kind of losing our minds after a certain amount of
Mm,
tracking. This one we just did it in 10 days. We did 5 days, took the weekend off, and then came back in, did another 5 days, and it was done.
wow.
So it was a nice, quick recording process. Um,
Did that 10 days also include writing, or were these songs fully formed, mostly formed going into the studio? Um,
we're not really a write in the studio type band. We kind of like, generally speaking, I kind of write write a tune and then bring it in, and then we kind of arrange it together.
okay,
I usually write something on my acoustic or my electric, or sometimes I'll do a basic demo of it in GarageBand, and then just bring it in and see what we can do with it. And if we're kind of having a hard time making it feel right, then we'll just pick up another one. And I've always got a bunch of stuff on the go, so no, we began to create like the actual kind of like arranging of the music in, I guess, like the fall, or like basically all of most of 2023, and then we tracked it sometime like about a year ago. We
cool.
tracked, and then but there was a few songs that I had like right off the bat before I even brought them in that I was pretty stoked on. Rock and Roll Band and Fail in Time.
I think
Um,
that's one of my favorite ones, Fail in
oh,
Time.
right on. Yeah, no, I was really stoked on those, and then I got COVID and I was like stuck at home, and I was watching that Get Back Beatles documentary, and I was
Mm,
watching all the crazy chords that they were using. I was like, I don't use enough seventh chords and stuff, so I tried to alleviate that with a single song, and that's Spider Dream. Kind of came together that way. And then I was kind of getting into finger picking, and then so we have one track that like I didn't think we were gonna use it, but I just showed it to Kyle anyways because I did a little basic demo of it in my just playing guitar and recording it in my voice notes, and I showed it to Kyle, and Kyle was just like, that has to go on the album. And I was like, are you sure, dude? Like, and he was like, yeah, totally. So we added we got our friend Sarah to play cello and violin. It's a song called This Is Me Warning You.
another excellent song on the record.
Oh, thank you. And she's an excellent violin player, and she'd never played cello, but we rented her one anyways, and we said, well, you can figure it out. And kind of just threw it at her, and she did an incredible job. So
Nice.
yeah, I'd say that we were kind of firing on all cylinders with this one. I think that what makes this one different from other ones that we've made, or the ones that we've made in the past, in terms of there are several things, but another thing that stands out to me very clearly is that um, I don't really believe that like tension makes good records and stuff, and like lots of difficulty necessarily means that it's going to be that much better. I think
Mm,
this one was just came together really, really easily, and I think that was a reflection of where we were at confidence wise and coming off the road, and how in sync and enmeshed we were in terms of our various kind of contributions to the band. And there wasn't a whole lot of overthinking with things. It just came together very quickly. I mean, there were some songs that we worked a little harder on the arrangement than others, but uh, in terms of recording it, it was really quick and really fun and fast.
cool. No, it sounds that way. Um, Now, looking at the 10-day period, because you talk about the idea of like kind of like making this bet with yourselves and having too much time in the past. Um, did 10 days sound like I mean, I guess it was 2 weeks because you took the weekend off, right? But like
Right.
when you approach this with like a 2 week goal, did that sound too ambitious, or was that like, we've got this, we can totally crush this in 2 weeks?
I think we had a certain amount of like, I don't think it seemed too daunting to us because we had done a lot of demos for previous records in this studio with Vince, and that's kind of why we were like, let's just do it with Vince. Like we're doing these sessions where we would do like 5 or 7 songs or whatever, demoing them completely off the floor all in one day. And we said, well, if we had 10 days instead of one day,
Mm,
I think that's more than enough time. We took our time at the very beginning, kind of getting good drum sounds as you do, but
it takes forever, yeah.
yeah, in terms of like vocals, like usually we agonize over the vocals, and by agonize I mean like, scrutinize them more and go through, line by line a bit
Mm,
more, and get a bit more granular with them. This time, I remember like we didn't really double track many vocals at all, which is kind of new because pretty much everything in the past I've done is double tracking. This one's pretty much all single tracked. There's a couple double tracks, but mostly it's just a single vocal track. In terms of the lead vocal, and I remember asking Vince, I was just like, I've never seen this microphone. Like, why are you using this on my voice? He's like, I don't know. It just looked cool. I plugged it in. It sounds good. So there's a lot more of that type of energy on this recording than previous ones, which I think have a bit more of a. We've been like, I think that when we've had lots and lots of time in the studio, it's kind of led us to be like, we found a new good sound. Let's re-record all the stuff we used with the old sound, and we just kind of start spinning our wheels a little too much in the studio.
mm.
We're a band that does the kind of the hard yards in the practice space, and when we show up to record, it's there to like to have fun and to get good sounds, but most of the work is already done, I'd say.
Cool. Yeah. I think with all of that, like the Lash has this sort of urgency to it. The press kit talks about it being, having no glitter, no glam. It's stripped down. And I think the resulting record is just like it's leaner, it's meaner, it's a little more like rough, but it really just fits with the sound. Um, Before we move on to the inspiration, do you have a favorite track on the record?
Um, there's a bunch that I mean I'm pretty stoked on all of it. We recorded some more songs, but we they kind of end the songs that we left off were a bit too upbeat and happy. We just thought these 10 were kind of cohesive in terms of their hopelessness or fury. So we thought that that would make a good record. But in terms of favorite song, I really like Phelan Tom, and I really like Warning Ya and Rock. Like I mean I there's it's hard to pick because I'm pretty stoked on all of them at this point. Like it's not one of those. We've had records in the past where it's like there's a few real like the few that I feel really strongly about and a few that I'm kind of over by that point, but this one we didn't really have like a very long gestation period in between like writing the songs, arranging the songs and recording them. It's all
Yeah,
pretty quick. So I didn't we didn't really get any time to get tired of them.
totally fair. Yeah. On the note of happier songs, Kyle in the press kit is quoting with calling this your therapy record.
Yeah.
Was that like was this like the writing for lyrics, whether I think it's the press kit cites quote unquote industry bullshit and relationships. But was that like intentional, like going in with this immediate thing? Was it very stream of consciousness, like this is just what's around, and then afterwards you had some of these happier songs and cut them out, or um, why the shift in lyrical tone to the point that it's noticeable that this is the therapy record?
Well, I think that it was like we were when we finished recording our last record, Free Rein to Passions, we were sitting at home for a lot of time, kind of getting our ducks in a row, like getting our touring plans together, and I was going a little bit crazy and kind of had some things that kind of slowed down to a point where I my some of the things that I think our band has been through in the last kind of few years finally got to catch up with me, and I was feeling a little raw about certain things, and you know I would just start writing songs in my garage band, this thing here on my guitar, and I would show them to Kyle, and Kyle was just like, "This is great. Just keep ripping them." And I every time I would feel bad and or angry, and I would kind of crank something out, I would feel so much better afterwards. And I would present it to him. I'd be really stoked. He's like, "Man, this is bleak," and I'm like, I don't know, like it, but I just like it." And he's just, and so I think that's kind of how he reached that observation about it all. Sorry, I got a piece of hair in my mouth here,
Yeah, no worries.
uh, yeah, no, I don't know. It's always a strange like lyrics are never like a conscious decision or anything for me. It's just kind of whatever rhymes or sounds good or is coming out of my head on that given day. So I kind of get stuck on little phrases or like little sets of words rather than whole sets of lyrics.
Mm,
Some lyrics I kind of like revise more and work harder on, and some I'm just happy with. Like when it comes out the first time, I think in the past we've had songs where I've like spent long time going over the lyrics and like revising them, and this one was pretty quick, and I didn't really have a long period of revisions, and we didn't have a long period of revising the arrangements or anything like that. So it is a bit stream of consciousness, way more than any of the other records, I'd say.
cool. Was there a point where it was so raw? Was there a point where you thought about revising this one and then chose not to? Or
Not really. I think that we had kind of grown a little bit exhausted with the process that we had kind of worked our way up to on some of the previous records where we would rehearse the music and arrange the music to the point where we almost like hated it and resented it,
mm,
like like some of the songs, and then we'd record it, and then we'd kind of get like a new appreciation for it. And this time we wanted to be a bit more. We wanted to shoot a bit more from the hip, and try and capitalize on the confidence that we had going into making it, and writing it and arranging it, rather than second guessing ourselves constantly and being like, uh, should this be a bit longer or should we tighten this part up? Is this verse too long or is this we kind of go through a lot of that stuff, and it's you know what I've realized is that like making anything, songs or drawing or writing or whatever, it's all just about making decisions. And when you have the confidence to make decisions quickly, you make more things and you're usually happier with the things that you make rather than writing a line or like drawing a line and then being like, I don't like that line. I'm gonna try that again, and doing that a zillion times until you've kind of got to something where you're like, I don't even know how I feel about this anymore. We were just trying to run, like, not sprint, but like kind of just keep the momentum going, keep the confidence up, and just
Mm.
enjoy it. Like there was a focus, I think, on enjoying this rather than like we have to make another one. Oh shit, let's get back down in there. Like we focused 100% on making ourselves happy and enjoying the process this time in a way that we've never really had. We've never felt that luxury before making this one, and that's something that our team really encouraged us to do. They said like, you guys have got a bunch of records at this point. Focus on enjoying this and like enjoying the process of it, because as soon as you finish this one, you're gonna have to make another one. So
Mm.
it's not, it is at a certain point, all like these things do become work, of course, but try and stay in the fun zone, the free zone as much as possible, and that's really
Yeah.
what I'm on with this one.
It sounds like between the lyrics and this explanation, it sounds like a process of almost shedding skin. Like you want to keep doing this, you love it, but it was the process of doing it that kind of fueled a lot of like the energy of the record, the musical direction, the stripped down approach, but also the lyrics. I'm curious if there was like a specific, when you reference the idea of industry bullshit in the press kit, is there like a specific experience, moment that was not like your own process of making records in the past that you were trying to free yourself of that kind of inspired some of this stuff, particularly like rock and roll band?
Yeah, well, I think, it's I've never really been a master of subtlety. I think it's if the in terms of lyrics or any aspect of my life, but I think that the lyrics in that song are pretty on the nose about the landscape that one must carve out an existence in 2025 if you're a rock and roll band. But at the same time, I think that I think like when we say kind of like industry pressures and stuff, I think it's a lot of it is just a bit of an illusion, I think, that we had kind of like forced upon ourselves in terms um of seeing everything as like a as if we don't get this, everything's over, it's all fucked, it's and just kind of putting way too much emphasis on things that in the long run don't really matter, and not, I think that we're just as culpable in terms of like the uh the responsibility for allowing music industry stuff to affect us as certain people that we've worked with that did impose those pressures upon us. But I think that what we really woke up to is that, like, as I've kind of just previously said, like this stuff, this music industry stuff, like to a certain extent, it does matter. You do have to like this is the music industry, it is the music
Mm,
business.
of course, yeah.
But, if you're not having a good time, your art is gonna suck probably. Or like if you're thinking about this stuff all the time and not like thinking about your core business, as they would say, which is making and playing music, things are going to suffer. So we just found that like our best way of kind of, rising to the pressures of the music industry, was to double down and enjoy our craft more and
Mm,
focus on enjoying it more. And so kind of that's kind of a fleshed out, even though I'm still kind of not, I'm being a little bit loose on specifics and stuff, but
of course, yeah.
it's, I think it's like, it's the stuff that every band has to face, in
Hmm.
terms of, the the industry, like the landscape, like how, it's very, the model of recording and selling music is obviously very different now than it has been in the past. And the pressures of social media can become very annoying at certain times. And there's a zillion other things like that. But in
Of course.
general, these type of like pressures are there, like while a part of them are it's essential to consider in your practices because it is important to participate in these spaces if you want to be uh like a business, but at the same time you can't let it dampen your enthusiasm for playing fucking rock and roll music.
Yeah, it's rock music. It's fun. You're in a rock
Exactly.
band, right? So yeah, I
Exactly.
totally get that. That makes perfect sense.
So part of this is just like busting out of a self-imposed prison that we had or a prism of how we kind of viewed everything through, and just saying, okay, well, what do we like doing? We like rocking, so let's fucking rock.
Bringing it back to, I guess, the music of the album, but also the lyrics. I think a lot of this comes full circle to both of these aspects. You were on vacation. I guess it was a vacation. You were at the Vatican,
Hmm.
and you saw a piece of art, The Horrors of War. And you've cited that as the inspiration behind some of this record. Um, Curious, before we talk about the specifics, do you often find inspiration for your music through art?
Definitely. I think that um, I like super striking visual stuff, and I find that sometimes just catching a glimpse of something like that or getting to stare at it for a while will make me want to pick up my guitar and play it a certain way, and that's something that really captivated me. That it was a group of three bronze reliefs by the same artist named Francisco Messina, and it was in the basement of the Vatican, and nobody else was there. Nobody was even stopping to look at it. But I walked down and I saw it, and I just couldn't step away from it. My partner had to just be basically say, "Okay, we gotta move on." I'm like, "Give me 1 second." I just couldn't stop looking at it, but it was the hardest shit I've ever seen in my life. It was like, essentially it was two guys, a very grim scene of two guys fighting over a knife, and it was carved into bronze, and that both guys had like a very miserable expression on their face, and like they did not want to be there. They didn't want to be doing what they were doing, and it really kind of like informed it just captured something to me about, I mean, although this painting is depicting like mortal combat, it just to me captured something about like any kind of interpersonal conflict and how uh you know it's not like just because you find yourself in interpersonal conflict doesn't mean that your enemy is or the person your adversary in that conflict is a malicious person. It's just you found yourself in this situation, and it's best to try and find a way out of it rather than prosecuting it to the full extent
Mm,
of your fury.
mm.
So something about that really spoke to me. But
That's super
yeah,
cool. That's really interesting.
we tried to get that piece of artwork for the cover, but the Vatican gave us a cease and desist. So
Actually,
yes,
have
cheers
you
to that.
have you tried with the new Pope?
You know what? Maybe we should swing around for the deluxe edition with the new
Yeah,
pup.
with the happier tracks in the new Pope.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Deluxe edition, man.
Throw Leo in the liner notes.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, Upon seeing this artwork though, did you know, I know you said that you are often influenced by visual art, but upon seeing this, were you kind of just like, was something going off in your head musically that you're just like, this is gonna make the record, or was it like, did it come back to you later on? Because obviously you're in the Vatican, you didn't have your guitar on you. Was it something that just stuck with you for a while, or was it like immediate, like this is the direction, this is the record, like it just stuck with you immediately?
It was something that like I didn't even really have almost any, if any, new songs at that point. It was just something that we were just about to release Free Rein to Passions, and I think I probably had a couple new songs, but there was no kind of like vision of a new record yet. It was just a few rough sketches, musically speaking. And it was something that the further we got into the music, the more I just couldn't stop thinking about this picture. And, whenever I was working on the music, I was just thinking about this bronze relief.
Mm,
And it wasn't an instantaneous thing, but I mean, my attraction to it was instantaneous for sure.
fascinating. Um, Now, around the time of the announcement of the Lash, you guys also released a live video from 2023 at the Danforth Music Hall.
Hmm.
You guys were performing The Stooges, I Want to Be Your Dog with George Petit of Alexis on Fire. Um, Growing up in Hamilton, certainly you were listening to Alexis on Fire way back in the day, like all of us were. How surreal was that?
It was amazing. I mean, we've been fortunate enough to get to spend a lot of time with those Alexis guys, but I mean, seeing Alexis on Fire on Much Music and hearing them on the radio was, I think, pretty critical in our musical development. It was a very special time in, I would say, specifically Canadian music, where some really
Hmm.
ripping stuff was getting high rotation on mainstream media,
Yeah,
and it's impossible to conceive of that happening today. But
not at all.
it was awesome at the time, and so yeah, I mean, there are heroes, and we're lucky enough to get to call them friends too.
That's fantastic. Curious about is there more collaborations between you guys and the dudes in Alexis on Fire in the vaults? But also B, the fact that you release this alongside with the announcement of the Lash, is there like a live album or more material from that show on the way as well?
Yes, that entire show is recorded and in video and audio, and we have a number of live sets that we have kind of that we're sitting on. We have a pretty full vault of unreleased stuff, and we're kind of waiting for the right time
Hmm.
to put it out. But yeah, we've been a band for almost 20 years now, so we've got a pretty considerable vault of archived material. And yeah, that Danforth show was amazing. That was one of my favorite shows that we've ever played. But yeah, we've got a ton of stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. So the Lash drops late July.
Yeah,
What do you guys have in store post release?
a hell of a lot of tour dates and more new music.
Sick, sick. Uh, the final question I like to leave my guests with: what are your three desert island records?
Okay. I'd have to go with Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison.
Cool.
I would have to go with um, let's see, Jerry Lee Lewis live at the Star Club in Hamburg, and I'm gonna go with uh, last album I get. Um, that's gonna have to be Ride the Lightning by Metallica.
That's a really cool list. All three of those records. Um, those first two really caught me off guard, but yeah, really cool records nonetheless. Uh, well, Luke, thank you very much for joining me today for the Spill Magazine and Beats by Jer. This was a great call.
Listen, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for checking out my conversation with Luke Bentham of The Dirty Nil. You can pre-save The Lash on all digital platforms with physical options, CDs, cassettes, and a pair of colored vinyl variants, including a purple LP and a red and white split colored LP with a black splash via the band's website, thedirtynil.com, and Dine Alone Records at dinealonestore.com. The Dirty Nil are currently on tour across America with Heart Attack Man. In September, they will embark on their headlining Ontario tour before heading off to Europe. With that, season 2 of Beats by Jer comes to a close. Thank you for continuing to tune in and support this creative journey of mine. Truly, this last year has exceeded all of my expectations, and I'm forever appreciative to all of those who have joined me, from Miles Kennedy to Jerry Cantrell, to make this season as exciting as possible. I hope you've enjoyed it at least half as much as I have enjoyed making it. Beats by Jer will return for another season of interviews, hot takes, and cultural analysis. And be sure to follow the show on Spotify and YouTube and the socials at Beats by Jer to ensure you don't miss the Season 3 premiere in August and or September-ish. I'm Jared Harris, and this is Beats by Jer.